$50,000 on that.
Where's he going?
Well, so Dad, we're going to talk about
Stuff I don't even remember.
Mike Flanigan, this is your life, kind of.
Oh, gosh.
But
Give me a
maybe
break.
focus on your career, because we're proud of all that you've accomplished. So, Michael Paul Flanigan Sr.
I think Vic's got a better memory than I have.
Well, he's going to be very helpful too, with some good old memories and stories and stuff. But one of the first things I remember you telling me about was when you were in grade school, your teacher, I forget which grade it was.
Miss Marie.
Miss Marie.
When I was dyslexic,
yes,
and I couldn't read because everything was jumbled, and she made fun of me and said, okay, we're going over here to Elsie Blevins. Elsie Blevins was where John was. You remember him?
Sure.
John was in his class, and Miss Marie took me, let's go and read, show them how you can read. And it just killed me. I just kind of sunk down because I was dyslexic. They didn't know what that was back in those days. But
so she was kind of making fun of you in your brother's class.
She thought, I don't know what she thought, but I was trying my best to read, and I just couldn't do it. It just mixed up in my brain.
Do you remember the book that she wanted you to read?
No. I remember a character in the book, E.O. the Eskimo. You remember E.O. the Eskimo?
No.
That was in a grade school or second grade primer, maybe third grade.
You went to school and you don't remember that?
So
that's as memory serves.
And this is important to your story, I think, because undiagnosed dyslexia, right? They didn't know what it was back in the day, and it's a real learning handicap.
Yeah,
So,
sure is. Take it from me.
And then to go to what you ended up doing for your career is amazing, I think. But going kind of in order, so when you were a kid, what's the first job that you remember having? Like, did you do anything for neighbors?
Delivering papers.
You deliver papers
Louisville
first?
Times. The Louisville Times is out of business now, but the two papers in Louisville, Courier Journal and Louisville Times. We delivered the Louisville Times. I did. I helped.
How old were you then? Like grade school?
Yeah.
Or something?
That's when I started, yeah. I
Okay.
think, Vic, did you help deliver?
My
Your brother did.
Yeah, we delivered papers.
Bob and Doug both helped deliver the paper.
I did too. I delivered Indianapolis Star.
So that was most boys' first job.
Well,
I
think of all the
right?
papers we had. There's 3 different papers in this town at that time. News meant something then. And
Yes, it did.
It had integrity then.
Yeah. So your family was in the printing and publishing business.
Yeah. My granddad bought the Crawford County Democrat, the new English News, and then he bought the Marengo Messenger. And I can remember when they built the printing office there.
When they
When they built the printing
built
office.
that?
Huh?
This building?
Yeah, I remember when they built that.
Okay, and your granddad, Arthur A.H. Flanigan,
Yeah, he's the one that built it.
and his family was from Milltown originally, right?
Yeah.
So he then had the local newspaper.
Yeah. Granddad Flanigan, Arthur, was Luther's twin brother. Luther Flanigan was in Milltown. He was the coroner in Milltown and stayed there till he died.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kept his business going there in Milltown.
Okay,
That
so,
was Luther Flanigan, Granddad's brother,
all right.
twin.
So then Arthur built the printing office and
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
was it the Crawford County Democrat? Was that the first paper that you recall? Was it it's before the Clarion?
No, the Clarion was a competitor from
Okay.
Pekin, Indiana.
Okay. Well, did you have any other little odd jobs? did you used to carry coal or anything like that for neighbors?
My grandmother Flanigan had me running around carrying coal in for the old folks, Mrs.
Oh,
Granny Brown. Remember Granny Brown? I used to go up there and carry coal into her place. And she was blind, I think. And she tried to pay me, she was supposed to be paying me $3 a week. Oh, that's too much. But she was getting ready to pay me, and she kept her money in a Bible. And she pulled out a $20 bill thinking it was a one. I said, no, Granny, that's not a one, it's a 20. Wasn't that something? Is Bob Roberts still with us?
Oh, yes.
Huh? Good.
He's playing golf this morning down at the golf course.
Huh?
oh, we maybe saw him.
Playing golf?
Yeah.
We said, yeah.
Bob is
We'll go find
good,
him.
he's a good friend of mine.
We'll go find him.
He was ahead of us. How old is he now?
About 88 or 89 now, I think.
Yeah? I figured.
Wow, and still playing golf.
Yeah, he plays well.
Good for him. We'll go find him.
One of the tees is up there where Pat is buried in the Denbo Funeral Home.
That's the best
We
tee
were
on
up
the
there
whole
one
course,
time,
isn't it?
and here comes these golfers up there to tee off. That's so funny.
Two tees up there, they cross. Hole number 4 and hole number 7, they cross up there. You have to.
Oh, okay, I thought it was just the one. Okay, so your family's in publishing business, and at some point you were, what grade were you in, do you think, when you were sweeping the floors at the Linotype school? Because your Uncle Paul, didn't he move
I
by
think
the
he died in 1948, maybe
Oh,
49, but 1948 is when he died, so it had to be before that.
So maybe in 46 he went to and moved the Milo Bennett.
My guess would be 46. He bought it from Milo Bennett, moved it from Maumee, Ohio to English, and set up the Linotype school. You remember all those Linotype students?
Sure.
And they would come and go for like a 3-month tour to learn the Milo Bennett Linotype.
So that's how
system.
long it would take of classroom
It took a
instruction,
while.
3 months?
It took a while.
So it's kind of hard to do, it sounds like. Learning the fingering.
I guess so, but you know, they sent John to the school, my brother John, and he didn't do anything with it. But I did it on my own when I was a janitor. I did it on my own, pulled out the booklet and practiced. And that's how I learned it, all on my own.
So when the school was closed and you're in there sweeping the floors and stuff, you looked at the handbooks, the instruction
Yeah.
manuals, and you
Yeah.
taught
I would
yourself
sit down there and figure out the figuring system of the
fingering?
Linotype machine.
That's pretty good when,
It really worked too.
after you were dyslexic as a child, and then
Yeah.
Well,
to,
that pretty well proves you're a lot smarter than John did, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah,
uh-oh, John's gonna see
Let's
this.
change the
isn't he?
subject to
Uh-oh.
somebody else. I'm getting tired.
Okay, so then you worked at the printing office at some point, because here's some of your
That's me running the line.
Some
I
of your
think this is a-
classmates or something?
I think that's a grade school kids in there. That's me, but I don't remember what the occasion was, what they were in there for.
Showing them how to run the, do the fingering or something.
I don't know.
And then this one is, that's not the Linotype, is that the press?
No, that's a press. That's the Chandler and Price, not Chandler and Price, but can't think of the name of it, but that was
So the Heidelberg was
the job press.
the press, and the Linotype, who was the,
Hot metal. They don't have those anymore.
they don't have those anymore.
It changed pretty quick from hot metal to cold metal, didn't it, Victor? Changed the whole
And there, that's
Dan
A.H. Flanigan.
Wriggle. You remember John Blevins?
I do, yeah. You worked the Linotype machine.
Yeah. Called him Wriggle.
Um,
He was the backbone of the printing office. He's the one that he grew up. I think he started working there when he was in the 3rd grade. Yeah, John Blevins.
And your granddad was the one who also founded the Historical Society here, isn't he?
Not that I know of.
How
helped found it.
helped found the Historical Society, I thought. Well, that's what Mom
You mean
said.
Arthur?
Arthur.
Well, that I don't know.
That's what she thought. And then there's grandmother in the,
Yeah.
because she worked in the paper there doing
Yeah.
stuff too,
Toward
didn't
the
she?
end.
And you got Kenny Luckett here with your Uncle Paul.
Yeah.
That's in the printing office. What was the guy's name that,
What's the date of that? Can you see that?
Jeremy? It's your dad's birthday in 1940,
August 1941,
August 1941.
with the 27th circle. That was your
So
dad's
that was your
birthday.
dad's birthday. He circled it,
I think he did, yeah.
okay. And then, who's that teaching you and who's that
That's
with you?
John I. Combs, East Combs, that's me, and this is the Heidelberg representative from Louisville to show us, teaching us how to run that new fancy
Heidelberg.
machine. I remember Martha Jane going down to the English bank to get the loan to buy this thing. This thing cost $5,000 back in those days.
That's
That
a lot
was
of money.
A whole lot of money. And it was just absolutely amazing. But before this is an automatic printing press. Before this was a C&P, the Chandler and Price, where you had to hand feed everything, pick up the piece of paper, put it on the platinum would bump up there, ink, and print one piece at a time. This thing here did it all automatic.
Just automated the whole process.
really
So you
amazing.
could print a lot faster and get a lot more newspapers out.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, when did you move to, I know that we lived after Elaine was born and I was born, and we lived in a couple of different places here in
We moved to
English.
Bloomington and then to Indianapolis. Bloomington for 2 years and Indianapolis for 3 years, and then
And
out
where did
to
you
Wa-
work in Bloomington?
Huh?
Where did you work in Bloomington?
A job shop.
And what was that? What's the job shop?
Bloomcraft, trying to think the name of it. John Doran and his wife ran the place. I remember that, John Doran.
Was that a union job?
No, but they asked me to join the union when it's there so he could put the bug on to get extra money. So that's when I joined the union, when I moved to Bloomington.
So you'd get paid more.
Get paid a
If you
little bit
joined
more, scaled, and that helped me in Indianapolis because Indianapolis was the International Typographical Union #1 for the whole country, #1.
Oh, I didn't know that.
New York was the big 6. It was #6, but that's how it came. That's how it came about. And Washington D.C. was 101, International Typographical Union 101. But if that's union is still in existence, they still use those same numbers.
Wow.
Indianapolis would be #1.
So Bloomington for a couple of years,
Yeah.
and then Indianapolis
For
for a
3
better
years.
job.
Huh?
You went to Indianapolis for a better job?
For 3 years. Yeah.
For 3
Well,
years?
I wanted more money to start with,
Well, who did?
and they wouldn't pay me anymore at Bloomington.
Oh, okay.
So I went to Indianapolis and started making the big bucks. To me, it was big bucks.
And where
back
did you
those
work
days.
in Indianapolis then?
Huh?
Where did you work?
A type setting place.
For the Star?
No, I went to the Star and tried out there. The chairman of the Chairman's Chapel came over. Okay, you sit down here and set this stuff. So I sat down and started setting type. Worked for a couple of hours, and pretty soon this guy, the chapel chairman of the union, came along and said, "What are you trying to prove?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Look how much type you set here. Get up and take a couple of hours off."
You were going too fast
I was
for it?
going too fast. The
You're
union
making-
didn't do that back in those days. I mean, it was ridiculous.
You were making them
It
look
really
bad.
was.
You were
I
making
was
them-
a worker, but the union wanted to get paid for doing nothing. Isn't
Well, a
that
lot of
something?
the government still works that way.
Huh?
Yes, still about the same.
Okay, so then why did you move from Indianapolis to the Washington DC area? More money?
Well, more money, but it had something to do with being with the government and retirement. Government retirement was so much better. And when I went to work there, I went to work as a line type operator on I think the Senate Aging Committee. And when I first sat down there, boy, I couldn't believe how much time you had to set to stay up there. But I was fast and I was accurate, so I worked out there.
Was
just
that
fine.
with the government printing office first, or what?
Huh?
Was that with the GPO, the government printing office?
That's where it worked, yes.
Okay, so that brought you to DC?
Yeah.
Washington DC?
Yeah.
And how long were you at the government printing office doing all that hard
Well,
work?
went from there to over on the Hill as an editor to the committee, and then eventually I signed off away from the GPO to one of the committees that paid me.
Did you already have a job when you moved the family to Washington, D.C.?
I've always had a job, but back in those good old days, I could go any place in this country and get a good job. Big line type, hot metal, it's gone now, but back then, I could go anywhere I wanted to and get a good salary.
So you had some in-demand skills.
Yeah.
You were very good at that.
Went to Denver, almost moved to Denver, Colorado,
So
almost moved to California, but didn't.
ended up in Washington DC instead.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank heavens.
And so then that evolved into being on this was when the Watergate scandal
That's after
was
I
happening.
became an editor, when working with the printed texts, got on the Watergate committee. That was so much fun. Depending on your politics, of course.
Well, tell us about that. Yeah, you don't have to
Well, this
get
is
too
just one of the
political.
hearings. Senator Sam Ervin was the chairman. I was sitting right just off of this guy here. I was sitting back here. But these most
There
of them
you
are
are,
from
right
that's
there.
Sam Dash. Yeah, that's me. Howard Baker, Edward Gurney, and this fella here just died a few years ago. He was Howard Baker's AA, and it doesn't look like him, but he became a senator, and he was a movie actor. What the devil was his name?
Fred Thompson?
Fred Thompson, that's who it was.
So he was
That's
the
Fred
A?
Thompson, it doesn't look like it,
Well, he's
but that
young
was
there.
Fred Thompson.
He's very young there. And
Well,
here
he
you
was-
are right there, walking over to take your seat behind that fella. So that was kind of an interesting experience working on the Watergate committee.
I really had a lot of respect for Fred Thompson. He was a very smart fellow. And he wrote a book after the Watergate committee. He wrote a book called At This Point in Time. And it was so much better than Sam Dash's book. Sam Dash was glorified himself, self-aggrandizing wrote. And I didn't like his book at all. But Fred Thompson, I did. Fred was just really down to earth.
Smart guy.
Yeah,
And
smart,
a pretty good actor.
smart down to earth.
So,
He just died a couple of years ago.
yeah.
I think, something like that.
So the Bloomington Herald Telephone newspaper did a big article on you when you were working on the Watergate committee. And then the Crawford County Democrat, same picture, but different article, they also were talking about a former English
Oh, yeah.
resident
English student makes good.
having this pretty cool job in Washington. And then you had a little personalized thank you from Sam Ervin.
He sent that to everybody that worked on that committee.
As a
And
little personal
He
thank
actually
you.
wrote that stuff
Yeah,
himself.
that's pretty neat. So then, once all that finished and, you know, Nixon was gone, when did you go to Committee on Energy and Commerce with Mr. John Dingell? for so many years?
I don't remember, but the chairman of that committee at the time was, it wasn't Diggle, it was, the chairman was from
Harley Staggers.
Harley Staggers, that's right. That's who it was. Harley Staggers was chairman of called the
Interstate and Foreign Commerce.
Interstate Foreign Commerce. And when he retired, this is probably 59, and Diggle took over chairman, he added energy.
79.
It increased their jurisdiction unreal. It became the most prolific committee on the Hill.
It's the most powerful one, wasn't it?
Energy and commerce, on both sides of the Hill. And John Diggle was the bigwig for many years there.
Until he just retired fairly recently.
I don't know how long ago it was. He's
Right.
probably 90 years old now, isn't he?
Probably. Who all did you get to meet while you were on that committee? You said Ralph Nader would come into the office and...
He came over there when Jeremy was working in there, in my office, and Rob Nader came in and I think was
Ralph
impressed
Nader.
with Jeremy. Jeremy was just a little teenager kid, and Ralph Nader was kind of impressed with how smart he was. And he was there and one of the subcommittee people called up and I said, well, they were asking what's going on here. I said, Jeremy's here talking with Ralph Nader. And it was no time at all for the staff director comes running down here. He never comes down through the day, but he comes down because they told him, hey, Ralph Nader's down in Mike's office. And he comes down just to be there with Ralph Nader.
Oh, he was
And he did a lot of, tried to do some small talk with Ralph Nader. I thought, well, how cheap is that?
And you've gone to some presidential inaugural balls, Clinton's
If
first.
so, I forgot it.
He
And
got an
second?
invitation
Unimportant.
to,
I-
he had an invitation to Bill Clinton's inaugural ball,
I may have, but
and you went to
I
that.
don't know if I ever went. I think
We
Yeah,
went,
you
I
did.
went with you in
once in a
92.
while to
Yeah.
some of those things, but
Who were
wasn't
some other
part of my
interesting,
nature.
who were some other interesting
Huh?
people you met through the years, or any interesting stories from whether the
all
Watergate
the
committee
interesting stories
or
I've forgotten due to a poor memory.
Well, so you worked on the committee, so you worked for the government for quite a long time.
Enough to make a pretty nice retirement.
Yeah,
years.
that was a good job. That was a good decision
Yeah.
that you made then.
It was. I'm
So
surprised I was that smart.
then you love your Washington Post newspaper,
Yeah.
which you read cover to cover,
Not quite.
page to page.
Not quite. I
Not the
scanned.
sports section.
And a couple years ago, the humorist Gene Weingarten, who does a column in the Washington Post magazine every week,
Yeah.
and he's quite funny, and you
Yeah, he's good. I
enjoy
like
his.
him.
Well, he did an article called Space Cadet, and in it he mentioned the QWERTY keyboard and the linotype.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing, and there's not anybody that would know that except me. It's the
He made a mistake.
ETAOIN, and we talked about the keyboard of the line type machine. Going down from the left side, from top to bottom, is ETAOIN. That's the first row. Second row, SHRDLU. And he had that in his column, but he made an error in it, and I caught it.
Yep.
And that's what this is about.
He caught it.
He
had
had
slipped.
ETOAIN transposed.
You called him out on it
Yeah.
and sent him an email, and so he signed his column to
Yeah.
you personally. It says, to Mike Flanigan, who was right. ETAOIN.
What nonsense.
And he said, you were the only one that caught that. He said he caught it after it had already gone to press.
You told me that.
You were the only one that caught that. So I think that's pretty
Big deal.
fascinating from a kid in second grade, was it, that you're you were
Third grade.
third grade.
Then he threatened to take me into Elsie Blevitz's class.
Especially since he got the transposition, which,
Exactly. Exactly, so.
And ultimately retired from heading up the editorial and publications department of
The
the
most powerful
committee on
committee.
Capitol Hill.
It was pretty powerful.
So do you think teaching yourself the linotype helped work through the letters and reading and,
I don't know.
you don't know, you just kept at it and?
I don't know.
Because you weren't getting any professional help from teachers or anybody about diagnosing why you were having.
I hope this interview's about over. I